So I'm here to talk about the Cool Wind trombone and its uses. I got this in the mail yesterday. On first impressions, I was really impressed with the horn. It does sound like a trombone. The slide has been kind of funky a little bit. When it came out of the box, it was insanely smooth. I was really impressed. And since I've been playing it, it kind of gets these little rough patches. And then after you play it for a while, they kind of smooth out. I think there's probably something in there. And the position of the rough patches change. And I wipe it off. I've sprayed it with water. I can't really tell that anything helps it, but playing changes it, and it seems to be going back to what it was like out of the box. So here I've got the Cool Wind trombone, and this is a really old Con 88H, and in it I've got a 6.5 AL mouthpiece, and I'm going to kind of show you the differences, and I'm going to mix and match mouthpieces with both horns. I'll be playing an excerpt out of the Arkansas Junior High All-Region music, and just kind of show you what the horn sounds like. I'm going to try to match everything that I'm doing as closely as possible. One thing that I did notice about the horn, the trigger, it's really smooth. I hadn't had any problems with it, but it flexes when you bottom out on it. It does flex quite a bit. I'm a little afraid that it might break at some point, but it looks like it'd be fairly easy to replace it. Everything screws on. The spring screws on, the linkage screws on, so I'm thinking that if you did break it, it would be an easy fix. Alright, so here it goes. I'm a trumpet player, so it's going to sound like a trumpet player playing a trombone. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to play that last phrase, and I'm just going to switch to that 6.5 AL mouthpiece. And I think you'll hear a pretty decent difference. And this is marked forte. Now, I'm going to do the same mouthpiece in the Con 88H, and obviously this is a much higher quality horn. And actually, I was trying to put the same amount of air into the horn. This one got a little harsh, in my opinion, but the sound was much larger. I'm going to put a little less air into this one. So that was about as much air as I was putting into this horn with the mezzo forte. I'm going to play the last two phrases, I guess. I started at the mezzo forte. If you know this is the Getchell First Book of Practical Study. Actually, it's the Bordner First Book of Practical Studies for Trombone. There's the book. And this is number 13. I hope I didn't just break any copyright laws. But here's the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 measures. And it starts on mezzo forte. And on the Cool Wind trombone, with the 6.5 AL, mezzo forte to forte. And now with the cool wind mouthpiece. Okay, so here's my assessment. This sounds like a trombone. It feels like a trombone, but it's significantly lighter. This would make a great beginner horn. It would certainly, if you wanted a big trombone sound, it would certainly help that, in that if you took a kid off of this horn and put it on a metal horn, if they're balancing with this, they're going to be huge on this, which is a plus. The weight is minuscule compared to this. I would say maybe 4 times the weight over here as over here, and that's a guess. The trigger scares me a little bit because it does flex. It'd make a great practice horn, make a good serviceable beginner horn, maybe through the second year, and then leave it at home and practice with it. I don't think, unless you had twice as many trombones as you needed, I don't think you would want this in your performing group. I don't think the tone quality is bad. There's just not a lot of it. It doesn't resonate. I'm just gonna blow my guts out on this thing and see what happens. All right, I'm gonna do exactly the same thing in this. And I think that's just blowing my guts out on a low B flat. The sound's not horrible. There's just not a lot of it. I think for the money, I got this from Woodwind and Brasswind. I got it on a bid price. I want to say I got it for $160 for a school bid, and that's pretty dang cheap for a trigger trombone. Overall impressions, if you want a horn to practice on at home, I think it's great for that. I think it'd be a good beginner horn. Like I said, the trigger scares me a little bit. I would get a metal mouthpiece, and it is a large shank mouthpiece. So don't grab your pea shooter mouthpiece and put it in there. It won't work. I think it's worth the money. I would not want this in my high school marching band or my high school concert band. It just doesn't put out enough sound, and I would always be begging the trombones to put out more air. And unless I had twice as many trombones. If you got twice as many trombones as you need, this is a great one.